This is Mrs. Anthony, and you're listening to the Escape Pod cast. This show was recorded in front of a live studio audience. Thank you for all the support you've shown us during these last few months.
One is a territory war specialist from Australia. The other is a territory battle tactician from the U.S. Together, there are no signs of intelligent life on board. But with over a combined 45 years of entertainment under their belt, the one thing we are sure of is that you will be entertained. The CFH Network presents the Escape Pod cast, a weekly show about the mobile game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Live from the network studios of Yavin 4, here are your hosts, Scotty McLaren and Paul Anthony.
Coming up on this week's edition of the Escape Pod cast, Grand Arena's 5-week championship exhibition has begun. What is in my favorites list? Cubs fan Hans World Cup. Who's beating Malik this week? The Patreons give us their top 10 for Territory Wars and Grand Arena Championship teams. I talk about the elephant in the room, mods, with Dojason and Mikayas. Biscuit Weazel talks to us about his new Patreon service, and the Nev gives you his grocery list for you to go to the store. Scotty's out this week. It's just me on the Escape Pod cast.
The Escape Pod cast news.
All right, guys, and welcome to this week's edition of the Escape Pod cast. As you heard in the open, Scotty McLaren is out this week. We wish him the best. And it is I, Paul Anthony, taking you through today's podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been probably almost forever since I've solo hosted a live show, and this one is being recorded live, so you guys may hear me interact with the listener lounge. This is definitely one of those weeks to be in the listener lounge if you want to influence the show as it is. So yeah, welcome to the Escape Pod cast. And as I mentioned in the open, you know, the Grand Arena 5-week championship finally has begun. And, you know, there are going to be a lot of people who don't understand the Grand Arena Championship that are going to be a little peeved, in my opinion, when at the end of all this, they reset it again. Now, I know they said that they're going to that they may not do it, but likely chances that they are going to reset the entire league settings and your progress, but you're not going to lose your coin, but you will be going up and down the leaderboard. You're going to be going up the leaderboard this week, but you may end up finding yourself back down at the bottom of the leaderboard, making your way up the next time that they do the whole Grand Arena Championship. Now, for those that have been, those that love this mode of the game, I mean, this is the best time for you to practice with lesser teams, to learn the feats, to learn your way through all of this. But if you're not that well versed, this is your chance to practice against meta teams. If your opponent, you know, goes heavy on defense, this is your chance to theory craft as far as that goes as well. So it's not entirely a wash. This is your chance to practice for the real deal that's coming up. You know, I'm personally not going to be spending those guild event, you know, the Grand Arena Championship currency just yet. But I think there's something bigger coming in the store with the Grand Arena Championship, and we'll have to see here. For those in the listener lounge, if you guys have any feedback, if you guys have any questions, yes, Goobatine says that the listener lounge are the co-hosts this week. That is very, very true. And Darth Cerberus says, all hail Lord Grievous. I'm guessing he Gear 13'd his Grievous, and he's shared a picture inside here. He's got 120k 4k health. Now, my question for you, and scroll down a little bit for me there, Darth Cerberus. Do me a favor and show me how much critical chance you have, because I did the same thing this past week. I went ahead and, in anticipation of the Grand Arena Championships, I went ahead and pulled the trigger on his Gear 13 piece. Now, your critical chance is at 5111. My health for my Grievous is sitting at 118,000. But I was able to get my critical chance up to 64.88. So I've got almost a 2/3 chance of knocking out the of hitting that critical chance. So, if you did Gear 13 your Grievous, one of the tips that I've been researching on it is that you really want to go ahead and get his critical chance up, because that health pool is already humongous. Now, you're talking, maybe 3,000 difference. Yes, that can be a critical hit, but with the amount of damage that Grievous will pump out because of that, you really do want to go with more of the critical chance for Grievous. So I definitely recommend that. You need 70% critical chance, as says. I'm actually, if I can find the mods, and we will be talking mods more coming up with Dojason and Mikayas here in a little bit. If I can find these mods that fit everything that I'm looking for, I certainly want to do it. Now, one other thing I was looking at on yours, Darth Cerberus, your speed is 190. You are a little bit faster than me. I'm currently sitting at about 152. I put the ones that had higher critical chance on. Some offense, things like that. We'll see what comes. We'll see what comes of it next week when I do a little bit more modding. So, going down the list here that I had set out for myself, I'm going to really quick copy and paste this so I don't end up losing it. And make that a little bigger. What's on my favorites list? That was the next thing that I wanted to talk about. On your favorites list, hopefully if you're in a guild that's doing the Dark Side Geonosis territory battles, hopefully you're going after all of those Geonosians. I mean, that's what you need to be doing right now to benefit your guild to get those Wat Tambor shards. You need to be farming GBA, and you need to be going after the Geonosian leveling. Arnold T101 did a video the week that it came out, and he did pass. He got those Wat Tambor shards, as I mentioned last week. So if you are looking for a strategy, I highly recommend going to see Arnold's video. But what he had, I can tell you, he had some good mods. He had some really good mods on there, but he didn't have anything over directly 12. So once he hit Gear 12, he stopped. Everybody was at 16.5, ready to go after those Wat Tambor shards. So if you're in that position, by all means, go after it. You're going to need everybody at 12 in order to get that Wat Tambor shard. And the rest of your guild will thank you for that. So, don't be stingy. Curtis Blow is saying way too many things in my favorites, but Geos are included. Curtis, I was gonna go back and forth with Scotty on his. So do me a favor, Curtis. I'm gonna use you as an example. Go ahead and screenshot me your characters tab, and we'll compare this. I'll wait for him to either say no or to actually do that. But for me, mine are currently, I finally got Sunfac. He's got 3 of the 6 gear 11 pieces. So he is finally sitting at 16.525. 16,525. He's got all the... He's got a mixed bag of mods. He's got his... all of his abilities upgraded, which is also good for territory wars, in my opinion. But, you know, it all comes down to making sure that you get them to gear 12. Now, my Newt Gunray, I slept on this guy since the beginning. I've been almost, I was... Within the first 3 months of this game, I picked it up. And I really slept on Newt because he was Newt. Since then, and also in my favorites, I do have Dooku, or I do have Gunray currently sitting at gear 10. So I've got 2 more to go with that. And the other thing that I'm going on, this is kind of like what we usually do. We do an ag report where we say what we're farming. Since I have everything at 7-star, I'm going after gear. I'm focusing down on those gear points. Now, there is a good way of doing this, and there is a bad way of doing this. If you are a collector, if you are more territory battle focused, I really highly recommend going after those territory battle platoon needed characters. If you are territory war focused, I recommend going for gear, but you will struggle when people say, hey, I'm looking for people that are farming these certain characters. And that will possibly hurt you in getting into one of those guilds. You need to find a balance that's right for you. But the balance that I now have achieved is I now have a bunch of the 7-star characters, so I can go after these teams when they come up. And this kind of ties into the next topic, and then I'll bounce back to what Curtis is showing me that he's farming. You know, if there is a team that's beating Malik, you're going to want to go after it if you have the correct pieces. If you don't, you're going to be stuck going after farms. And I'm actually having to gear farm my Jawa engineer because of the IG-88 lead with Chopper, with Grievous, with T3M4, and with Jawa engineer. Every single time one of those droids die, and we all know how squishy IG-88 is. Anytime one of those droids die, Grievous gets an extra turn, and then engineer just brings them right back up. So that's a good team. Now it falls quickly to JKR because they mark Grievous and it gets messy and quick. But there was a lot of fun ones. Also, another one that DB Official recently put out, R2 and Grievous defeat Gear 13 Malik in 25 seconds. Hop over to our Discord, and in the other creators, we have a great group of people that we support and recommend in the other creators room, including It's Just Ian, Mandalore, who we just had on last week. Apropos likes to do ones for his guild, and those are great. Clash, who you guys should be subscribing to, is also in there. And Mr. Hunt, as I will say on here, from Reality Skewed Gamers, one of the skewies, I think skewers that they call themselves. Now, let's go back up real quick to see what Curtis Blow, one of our Patreons. Thank you, Curtis, for being a Patreon. Let's see what he's currently working on. And he sent me 2 pictures. My God, sir, you do have way too many. He's got a mixture of Old Republic. He's got C-3PO, Wampa. I mean, it's pretty much him favoriting his entire roster, so whenever he sees that little yellow tag, he's going to buy that gear piece. Heinze shared with me his. He's got Mission Vow, Ahsoka, First Order Stormtrooper. He is going after that Brood Alpha. He's gearing up Padme, doing the gear run, and some Sith Marauder and Shock T. Looks like he's already got the 7-star Shock T. Nice job, Heinze. So I've got Deadpool Kyle also sharing his. He's got a Separatist. That is what you need to be doing if you're not ready. You need to help your guild out. Get those Separatists up. His Droideka is almost there to 7 stars or 6 stars, which will help him for the earlier Geonosis territory battles. But they still got to go there. He just gear 12'd his Grievous, he says, which is awesome. The outliers right now are his Baze and his 3PO. That's actually great to see. Continue to work on that, Kyle. You're doing great. Chancellor Gubatine, he's sitting here with I forgot to mention this guy. He's already got his Gear 13 Brood Alpha. He's got a Gear 13 Grievous, a Gear 13 Magna Guard. He's got his Separatists ready. The only thing he doesn't have, these aren't in his favorites, by the way. The only thing he doesn't have is Wat Tambor, and I don't even see a single shard, so I'm going to just laugh at him. Biscuit Weasel's showing me his in the listener lounge here. He's got a Bosk, Dooku, Geonosis Soldier, so he's going after the Separatists. But he also has Mission, Zalbar, and Bastila. He's getting those guys ready for the Malak event. So let's see. Go down here. Sure, Heinze in the listener lounge does want to make everyone aware, and because ANZGC is a good friend of ours, that alliance is a good friend of ours, they have the world's first Gear 13 Tuskens and Farm Boy Luke. So congratulations to them for getting those. Nevrock wants me to mention his favorites. He is definitely doing all the Separatists. He's also going after the Sith Trooper. Everything except for his Brood Alpha is 7 stars. That's excellent. Piranelli going after the Phoenix. Piranelli, I'm going to tell you this. Maybe somebody, Zed or anybody else that's in my alliance with me, why don't you guys go ahead and just link my Phoenix Squadron on GG through there to inspire Piranelli. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Let's see, who was this? I just clicked it out of nowhere. Buzzsaw, excellent. Looking at a Gear 12 Ahsoka Tano. You're getting ready for the you're absolutely getting ready for the Clone Wars. That's the other thing. If you guys have finished Separatists, start now on those clones. Start now on your Galactic Republic. Because we know that eventually what's going to come of all this is we're going to get the light side Geonosis territory battle. And if you think that's hard, remember how difficult the dark side territory battle was that came after the light side territory battles for Hoth. If you're caught up on your Separatists, don't sleep. No sleep till Brooklyn, or in this case, no sleep to Kimono. You are going to want to go after these clone troopers because they are going to be needed for Clone Wars content. And finally, my friend from up north, apropos, is rocking his Revan. He's getting ready for Malak. He's absolutely getting ready for Malak along with the Separatists. That is excellent to see. I'm going to move along here real quick. Let me look at the list here that I was going to talk about. I'll say Cubs fan Hans World Cup. So, in addition to coming on this show and all that, we all know that Cubs does a lot of fun projects. And one of those fun projects that he does every so often is his World Cup. He did it with countries the first time, and the second time he's gone and done it with with all sorts of different communities, including guilds and alliances. And I am happy to say that he's currently doing four group stages, A, B, C, and D. And the group stage winner will face the group stage runner-up of the following guild or of the following group. So I have to double check the list unless Biscuit, Weazel, or somebody can quickly grab the current lineup. There we go. I found it, guys. So we have the Russian Alliance was the Group A winner. Good is Done community was the Group B runner-up. The Death Star Designers was the Group B winner. And Schwartz Alliance was the Group B runner-up. Forgive me, Group C, for not following who was the runner-up, because we haven't seen Group D yet. But I'm happy to announce that the Escape Pod cast represented team that's being represented by us, also known as the Divergence, who we used to be in an alliance together, and then we kind of filtered apart. But we are the Group C winners. I'm looking forward to Group D to see who our opponent is, and when Cubs Fan Han streams the finals, the knockout stages, you better believe that we're going to be there. So go Divergence, and for all the other teams that are listening right now, good luck in the tournament, because that's kind of person I am. That is one thing I did want to mention. So I mentioned about who's beating Malik this week. Now, we are going to go to a break here in a moment. Let me see if you guys have any questions right now. I'd be more than happy to take any of those right now. Chancellor Gubatine, my Phoenix was shown by Zed. Thank you for that. I, by the way, have all Gear 12 Phoenix. Before I got into a guild and before I used to play very, very casually. And I loved the show Rebels. So I Zeta'd every single Zeta a Bull Phoenix squadron. That was a lot of fun. Then Goobs is definitely... he's showing off his Gear 12 Phoenix. But mine are geared a little bit more than yours, I believe. But, all right, guys, we are going to go to a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about that big elephant in the room, mods. And we are going to go in depth with two of the greatest minds of mods that I know. That will be Dojason and Mikayas, coming up right after this break on the Escape Pod cast.
Mikayas Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Mikayas will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Mikayas has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Mikayas today on Discord at all lowercase Mikayas number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at mikayasmods@gmail.com. Mikayas Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod cast.
Like what you hear on the Escape Pod cast? Want to support Scotty and Paul? Then sign up to be a Patreon. For as low as $2 a month, you can help them launch Escape Pods for months to come. Visit patreon.com/theescapepod to sign up. Support us today.
Hey guys, it's the Nev here. If you want to hear more content from me, please come over to my channel. It's Nev. Simple as that. But if you're looking for me and you need to type something in the search, best put in my full name. It's Neil Andrew Eyre. You can also follow me on Twitter at PomPomtastic1, and you can find me on Discord, Nev, #9515. Hope to hear from you soon. Come on over and give me a like and a subscribe.
And now time for something completely shameless.
This is your favorite YouTuber's favorite Greek-American Swuggo YouTuber from the greater New York City area, whose name has 8 letters, beginning with an H and ending with an X. Wanna guess who, TC14? Come on, guess.
Horse box.
Try again.
Homeo box.
Seriously?
Horsepex.
You know what? Just forget it. I was trying to get you to say Hellenix, you dumb droid. Anyway, welcome back to the Escape Pod cast with your hosts, Paul Anthony and Scotty McLaren. Take it away, boys. I have a droid to disassemble.
Oh dear.
The Escape Pod Cast, the round hollow table.
And welcome back to the Escape Pod cast. On this Hollow Roundtable, we are talking one of the biggest things that people continue to request. And I mean, it truly is one of the biggest things in the game. It is time to talk mods. And there couldn't be two better people that I could think of to talk about mods with than Dojason and the official remodder of the Escape Pod cast, Mikayas. Guys, welcome to the program. Dojason, how are you doing tonight?
A little bit of fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Excellent. Mikayas, what's going on, my friend?
Not much. Just living the dream. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So, how, I guess one of the biggest things, as we've mentioned, is definitely mods. And since we last talked, Mikayas, you came on as a special guest exclusively. But that was before we knew that Gear 13 was coming to the game, and now with Gear 13, Mikayas, we'll start with you on this one. What are you seeing? Are you seeing any different sets come to the forefront? Not specifically for specific characters, because, there are certain characters that do well with different sets, but is there an overall set, or is it still speed is king?
I think every mod set has its place, and I think speed is still very dominant, probably the most dominant it's been in the game, in terms of arena, and that carries over into Grand Arena. But I think that health sets have really increased in value with the advent of Gear 13. You raise that health pool, and you bring in a lot of the Gear 12 pieces have a lot of health in them. And then when you put your character to Gear 13, it allows mods to apply to all that Gear 12 gear. Whereas before you put that final piece on, your mods aren't applying to those stats that you gain from the Gear 12 gear, right? And so you have those furnaces that have like 6,000 health in them. Some characters like Grievous, for example, has like 4 of those between the G12 Plus and the G12 ones. And so that's like, 24,000 plus?
Yeah. Right? I finally just completed one of the furnaces myself moments before we started recording. So I'm one furnace away, and then I can use that Gear 13 piece. I'm waiting. I have it, as I mentioned last week. I bought the pack, but I haven't pulled the trigger, and I'm trying to figure out where. Now, that's going to hurt me for Grand Arena if I don't pull it beforehand. Of course, we're recording this on Tuesday. Grand Arena's already started. We'll see. I don't know. Do I give the big boost to my GP and then get matched up higher? Or do I wait?
That's a tough call. I don't think there's any winning or losing with that call. Depending on how they run the matchmaking algorithm that they have over there, the increase from Gear 12 Plus, like Gear 12 5-piece to Gear 13, doesn't actually raise your GP by that much, but it makes your character ridiculously stronger, right? So if you're getting a huge power increase for a low GP increase, it probably makes sense to make that move every time for that final Gear 13 piece.
No. What about you, Dojason? Are you seeing any certain sets coming more to the forefront for when you're doing modding?
So as sets go, not necessarily. I mean, speed sets are always good, and I actually, on a personal level, favor offense sets over crit damage sets because there's a lot more versatility when it comes to using those sets on different characters. It's pretty common that people understand that, if you're physical damage, you want crit damage, and if you're special damage, you want offense. But the offense can also benefit the physical damage users, and there are some special damage users that could get benefit out of the crit damage. But most importantly, I feel like secondaries, the way we look at secondaries is going to change a lot when it comes to Gear 13. Because as Mikayas was saying, you're getting that new stat boost as an overall that the mods as a whole are going to be taking into consideration. So as we were moving into Gear 12 back, a year ago or something, it was all about flat offense. Flat offense was going to add more offense than a percent offense. Whereas now when you go to 6E mods at Gear 13, a percent offense secondary is probably going to give you a bigger boost than just a flat offense on the stat. So I think that it really comes down to looking at those secondaries more now. And then including with the secondaries and what Mikayas was saying with health is definitely huge. And there are certain characters that, a lot of them actually, there's a lot more characters I feel that, take advantage of that health stat that didn't, prior to mods 2.0.
Now, it's very, very interesting that when I'm leveling up my mods, I'm trying to help you a little bit, Mikayas, when you finally decide to put your hands on mine. It's I've been not disappointed if it rolls something other than speed, and we'll get into mod leveling strategy in a moment here. It's all depends on what it actually rolls and how big it rolls. So yeah, that offense percent can be huge. The entire, it's when you're going from a small speed. If you find a 5 speed to start and you roll 3, you're going to groan. Am I right?
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay. So I've got no and yes.
Well,
I've got no and yes. Go ahead, Mikayas.
I don't think beggars can be choosers. If you only have a 25% chance for the stat that you want to increase, whatever that stat is, then you should be happy if it increases because you just, got that 25% chance. But so I don't know. If you have a mod, what is that? Like four rolls of 3 speed is 12 speed. And let's say it started at 5, that's still a 17 speed mod. That still would be good. I don't know.
All right, and you have the opposing viewpoint, Dojason.
Yeah, so I mean, if it rolls a 3, I mean, it's kind of gutting because you are looking for those god mods when it comes to the speed, and I would almost rather have it hit a different stat that I'm on that mod that is also favorable to that character if it's not going to be a good roll. So, for instance, if it's an offensive character, I'd rather even if it's a minimal boost to offense, I'd rather have offense or potency or crit chance or something go up if it's going to be a minimal boost rather than that speed, because as you mentioned at the beginning, speed is king, and Mikayas even confirmed that by saying even more so now. I mean, I've seen other YouTubers complain about, oh, I lost because my Bastila is 1 speed slower, so that roll of a 3 versus a roll of a 5 could be the difference between you making top 10 in your arena. And so that's, for me, is why it would kind of be not favorable for a 3. So.
All right. Mikayas, you want to say something here?
Yeah, I just feel that it has to do a lot with where your own mod collection is, right? Some people just need those super favorable rolls each time to really get a useful mod for their collection because they're already in a really great place. But for most people, I would say even less than ideal rolls are going to give you usable mods somewhere in your 12 or 16 team GA roster, right? That's a lot of characters to field.
Right.
So I don't know. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't go throwing away your mods if they turn green and they only have 8 speed on them. That still could get another 18 or Yeah, still could get another 18 speed in theory.
True.
Yeah, so I'm actually rolling through my mods right now. Let's see. On this one, I've got a blue one that's currently sitting at 8 speed. I've got. I currently have. Oh, that's it. I've got 4 that are 8 speed or better, and I've got an orange one sitting at 7 speed, but a lot of protection. So if I'm going for those tank one, and it's a speed with an offense primary, so it works for fast tanking, if you will.
Yeah, no, I think that it's important. I say speed is king, and it's very important in like the Darth Revan kind of meta, but other stats are important too, like very important. So if you get any stat that rolls like 4 times, or to give it just like this big huge stat on anything, it probably is going to be useful eventually somewhere in the right place.
What you got, Dojason?
Yeah, so I guess, I want to amend my statement a little bit about the adding a 3, because, if you do go from 5 and you get up to 8, that's still an average roll of 4, which I'm not stoked on a 4, but 4 is still good. So on average, if it's like when you divide it out after 5 rolls, if you still have, 4 speed per roll on average, the 3 isn't necessarily that bad. So I wanted to at least, clarify. Because there's tons of blue mods that are at 8 that I will slice. I will totally slice those mods to try and get more speed.
Excellent. Now, that is one thing that we want to talk about here. The whole mod leveling strategy, we already know, take white to 12, green to 9, blue to 6, purple to 3. But, when it comes to that, beyond that, is there a certain strategy that you like to follow? Dojason, we'll start with you. What's your leveling strategy once you've seen everything?
Yeah, so once I've seen everything, and like for instance, if it's green, blue, purple, and they're all level 15, and we're just talking about no longer leveling them but slicing them, I literally just go through and I filter by speed secondary, and I sort by the fastest speed mods that I have, and then I'll go ahead and remove anything that's Mark 6 or Mark 5A. So I'll just look at the Mark 5A, or sorry, B through E, and I'll look at what's my fastest secondary mod, and whether it doesn't matter what color it is, what shape it is, unless it's an arrow, I might skip over the arrows, and whatever the highest speed is, that's the next mod I'm going to slice. So I'm just going to keep slicing up the highest speed secondaries I have. So if I have like a 13 speed purple health circle right now with a protection primary, the other stats aren't really necessarily something that I'm looking for, but it's got 13 speed, and so I want to see if when this one goes from purple to gold, if that gets up to plus 18 or 19 or even plus 17, then to me that's a win, right? So, and even if it stays at 13, if one of these other stats that might be favorable, it's got offense and health on it, so if offense rolls up, cool. So that's the way I kind of look at it. I just sort by the fastest secondaries, and I slice up from there.
Okay, Mikayas?
So sometimes I do that. I think that that's a good thing to do as like a first step. You want to find the speed that you need, because you really do just get this crazy advantage in Arena right now, and frequently in frequent metas with just a 1 speed advantage on a couple characters, right? But beyond that, a lot of characters need specific combinations of secondary stats and sets and primary stats to really succeed. And so, like, if you look at something like Grandmaster Yoda, for example, you really want an offense and a crit chance set. So that's one variable that you want to nail down. And then within that, there are really certain primaries you want to have on his triangle and his cross and his circle, right? Like, you want him to have a protection circle, an offense cross, and a crit damage triangle. And then beyond that, for secondaries, you really want like high crit chance offense and speed. You want all those things. So like, I kind of like looking for mods that have all those things that I'm looking for. Like I'll try and sort through my mods and filter by, maybe 3 of the desired secondaries I want, in addition to the set that I want and the primary I want. And then I'll level those up. So maybe a mod only has 3 speed on it, but it has, 2 rolls of offense percentage, and its other 2 stats are crit chance and flat offense. So like, I think that's a mod that's worth upgrading. Like that's a no-brainer mod to me, because it has all the ideal secondaries you want. So any way it rolls, it's going to be great. Right?
Right.
And you can use other mods to balance out a set on a character. So if you have one mod that has, say you have 2 mods that have all those secondaries, one could go full offense percentage, and the next mod could go full speed to balance that out, right? So, or they could both just have, mixed rolls of each, and they end up balancing each other out to make like a really...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Dojason, you wanted to say something here?
Yeah, so one term that I really like that I heard from Mikayas when I first met Mikayas, shout out to Urzatron, because if it wasn't for Urza saying, "Where is my slicer?
Where's the slicer?"
I probably wouldn't even know who Mikayas was. But this term that Mikayas described to me when I first met him was self-synergistic mods. And so what a self-synergistic mod is, a mod like Mikayas just described. It's an offense set with offense secondaries on both flat and percentage, crit chance and speed, right? Like that's the ideal mod, right? When it comes to an offense set. So it's all about looking for those self-synergistic mods for those specific characters.
Excellent. Now, that's something we're going to get into later. Looking for the perfect mod, and that's a great start to that. So let's hollow roundtable that for a second. What about what did you guys think about the Gear 13 pieces? We're going to jump back to Gear 13 for a second. For things like the clones, where the health gain that they got were tied to their unique CT numbers.
I mean, yeah, that's cool. A nice little, Easter egg, if you will, for those kinds of things. I think that it's cool that they tried to implement a balance at Gear 13 into the gear. However, I do feel that some characters got a little bit of a disparate treatment in that they got a huge bonus versus other characters that kind of got a meh bonus. And I can't necessarily point out 2 specific examples outside of
okay. Go ahead. What's your examples?
Like HK, he got some really nice damage bonuses, but then Grandmaster Yoda did not. Right, and these are both characters that you want to mod quite similarly, with offense and crit chance, and speed. Right, those are 3 things that are good for both of those characters. But the Gear 12 finisher that takes them to 13, right? It's vastly different for these characters. Grandmaster Yoda gets 100 special damage, and then HK gets 700 or something. I don't know the exact number, but
I can look it up here. It's 100 special for Grandmaster Yoda. It's 8 speed, 100 special damage, 50 armor, 50 resistance, penetration, a special critical chance of 100, and 5% more potency. Now, HK, on the other hand, I got to scroll up here instead of down. HK, same, 8 speed, 823 physical damage, 100% or 100 armor penetration, 11% both potency and tenacity, and he gets 5% health steal. So HK's repairing himself nonetheless.
Yeah, a huge, disparate treatment on the gear. I think that it was intended for like a balance, to try and balance, but I don't know. I think that they probably should have balanced like the underlying stats and not the stats that you put on the actual gear. It kind of helps players make a determination on which characters they want to take to gear 13 first, I suppose. I don't know.
Mikayas, did you have any favorites out of everything, out of the 13 finishers, as far as, what you do?
Well, I did Grievous because I thought it was cool because the impact is just undeniably great, right? It transforms the team the same way that like a Bastila lead Zeta transforms the Jedi faction. Putting Gear 13 on Grievous transforms the Separatist droids, right? And so just takes them to that next level. And I ended up doing Yoda and Revan for my first two Gear 13s because of how dominant Speed is with the Darth Revan meta. The fact that Jedi Revan can get a 30 speed boost to all the Jedi allows you to fight Darth Revan teams with weaker mods. And, I have people in my shard who have faster mods than me, and you got to find a way to beat them to get your payout daily. And so I found Yoda and Revan to be the way to do that consistently. It's more forgiving.
Gotcha. Now, Mikayas, since you're the official slicer, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. And for those of us who are currently working on their Geonosians, how are you modifying Brood Alpha? Well, and then Dojason, I mean, you could concur, you can dissent, whatever you want to do on this one. But a lot of people are asking about the Geo Brood Alpha. What is the ideal set for him?
Well, it being a newer team, I really hate giving advice on teams that haven't really been through the ringer of testing yet. But
so the ultimate non-answer.
but you can read his kit and look at some of the things, right? Like his basic works like Sunfac in dispelling buffs, but only if it critically hits. So maybe some crit chance is helpful to do that. He has an expose on one of his specials, so maybe you want some potency, so he lands his exposes. But he's got a bunch of moves that just help. He's like a support character, and typically support characters, they're there to do just what they say, support your team. So the more times they're taking turns, the more they're fueling your team and powering everyone up. And so I think speed, classically is going to be important on him too. I genuinely don't know if Brood Alphas, not Brood Alpha, what's the thing called? Brute? The Geo Brute or something?
Yeah, the Brute.
I'm not sure how mods affect him or if they affect him at all. But if they do, you should load them with protection. But I genuinely don't know the answer to that, and it's something I should definitely find out. If anyone knows the answer to that, feel free to.
The Geonosian Brood, according to this, the unit's stats scale with the summoner's stats. So I would say yes. I would say mods affect the Brute. So are we thinking that maybe we should mod him?
If the mods genuinely directly affect the Brute, and it's not like ships, right? So like ships, mods affect it only in that they increase GP when they're higher level mods. The actual stats don't matter. So if they're treating him like a ship, then only leveling to 6E, regardless of stats, would help the Brute. But if they're treating him like an actual character, then I would say you would want to load up with protection, because that thing is like a reviving tank, So I would probably sacrifice any minor benefit you'd get from crit chance or potency or a little bit of damage on the alpha and just try and tank up Brute. But again, I'm not sure it works that way, or if it works more like a ship.
So to stay tuned now, Dojason. What's your take on the Brood Alpha's mod set?
Yeah, so I actually I like to read kits and do theory crafting and stuff, and I've seen what other people have kind of suggested as well, and based on the assumption that the mods on the Brood Alpha do impact the Brute, what I have decided is to put a crit chance and a crit damage set on Brood Alpha with protection primaries and a crit avoidance arrow. So with the assumption that the Brute actually does gain the benefits from those mods as well. And the reason for the crit chance and the crit damage is because, like Mikayas said, the basic removes based upon crits. And I actually think that the Brood Alpha is not the only one that you really should, or the main one you should be worrying about your mods on, because it seems as if, based upon the Queen's Will and all of the Geonosians like bonus attacking and everything, the Geonosian soldier, his unique he gets turn meter when he scores a critical hit. So I think loading crit chance on your Geonosian soldier is probably the most important thing for the Geonosian team.
Gotcha. So you took this a little farther and talked about the team. Excellent. Now, talking about crit chance and offense and speed and the offense percentage, we were talking about the perfect mod. Let's just say your standard run-of-the-mill character. What's the shape? What's the primary? We all know those are going to be the secondaries. Dojason, we'll start with you. If you could craft the dream mod and have it given to you, but you can only get one, what is it?
Well, so that's kind of a loaded question, because
it is.
There is technically no wrong answer, unless because everyone's got their own personal bias on what their favorite character is, or So if I have to pick the shape, I guess I'm just going to go vanilla here. Like, I don't get to choose the primary. It's a diamond. It has a defense primary. I don't get to care, right?
No. You could get the, you are going to get the offense for the squares.
The square, and the diamond's going to get. So
right.
Like the primaries, because like triangles, and there's actually a debate right now amongst a lot of people about General Grievous, whether he should have a crit damage primary or a health primary on his triangle. And I don't know, but I guess the perfect mod, for me is going to be just like the highest speed secondary that you can get with the most self-synergistic percent secondaries being crit chance, potency, and offense, right?
Okay, but you do get to choose the shape. So what you're going for? What shape?
Okay, so if I'm going to go for the shape, we'll go for the triangle, and we're going to go for a crit damage triangle with 27 speed or more, if that's possible. And then just like high percent secondary, so like 2%. And I'm thinking 5A as well, by the way, because not everybody's going to get 6E when I'm thinking this, because everything gets bumped up quite a lot with the secondaries on going from 5A to 6E. But yeah, offense percent, crit chance percent, potency percent, and speed. Those are my four secondaries on a crit damage triangle.
All right, and Mikayas, dream mod for you, bud.
I mean, I respect Dojason's everyone has their favorite characters line at the beginning, but I think there is the right answer, and I think he hit the nail on the head with I'd probably go offense set, maybe not crit damage set, just kind of in line with what Dojason was saying earlier about offense sets being a little more versatile. And I'd take an offense set, crit damage primary, 30 speed, with the other three secondaries being flat offense percentage. Offense percentage and crit chance. I mean, that's just like your perfect dream fast attacker mod for like CLS.
What's your shape though?
A triangle.
The triangle. Okay.
Yeah, triangles are the rarest mods. They show up the least frequently in farming, like statistically. So it's harder to get a good triangle. So you gotta get them when you can get them.
All right.
Yeah, my best triangle actually is crit chance primary. My 2 best triangles. So, like, crit chance primary on a triangle is okay, but oh man, I wish that was crit damage.
All right. Well, we are running a little long here. So, for those of you, for those of our listeners that want to get in touch with you guys, Dojason, we'll start with you. How do people find Dojason, and where do you set up shop?
So I used to be on Line app, but my guild recently merged over to Discord. So it's Dojason number 6381. I'm in almost every Discord room that you can think of, except for the Heroic Sith Triumvirate Raid Project, because I don't care about raids. And
well, we will be talking to Biscuit Weazel here in a moment from that server. So thanks for the support.
Yeah, and then any Discord server you can find me. I got a podcast on Thursdays. It's more like just a live show Twitch stream that we do once a week, and it's fun. And I'm glad that you've come and hung out. Both of you guys have been on there before. And then one last thing, since we've been talking about mods, I came up with what I think is a very fun acronym for mods. It's MODS, right? Mikayas, or die slicing.
I love it. Mikayas, how do people get in touch with you?
First off, thanks for the acronym. That's pretty great, Dojason. And I'm flattered. And you can reach me on Discord. My tag is Mikayas pound 0127, and it's all lowercase. And I also have a server, but I can't really verbally link the server. So it is what it is. You can message me on Discord, and I'll give you the server then.
Yeah.
Or you can find
But you could do a discord.me. You should definitely do a discord.me, because we've done that for the escape pod as well. So definitely, I'll hook you up with that after we're off the air.
We'll have to look into that. But yeah, I'm easy to get a hold of. I'm on a lot of servers too. So.
Excellent. So that does it for the Hollow Roundtable this week. Coming up, Nev is going to give us the Escape Pod cast for kids, and then after the other break, we will be talking with Biscuit Weazel about the HSTR project, thanks Dojason, and his new Patreon and what you can expect from that. Coming up here on the Escape Pod cast.
Hey everyone, Biscuit Weazel here from the planet Coruscant and the HSTR project. Some of you may have seen my latest videos about my modding and Grand Arena strategy, but I want to help you personally. Head on over to patreon.com/biscuitweazel, that's Weazel with a Z, and check out my new Patreon rewards. And while they last, the first 10 people to sign up at the $10 level will get the whole $30 package for their first month. That's patreon.com/Biscuit Weazel. Remember, that's with a Z. Today.
Mikayas Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Mikayas will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Mikayas has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Mikayas today on Discord at all lowercase Mikayas number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at mikayasmods@gmail.com. Mikayas Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod cast.
Hey there, Escape Podawans. Everyone's favorite llama here to remind you that the Escape Pod cast is on social media. That's right, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. So give us a like, give us a follow, and stay up to date on all things in-game and in the Escape Pod. Our account links are down in the description or on our Discord server in the Show Links channel. See you on the net!
The Escape Pod, cast for kids. It's really cool.
Hello there, boys and girls, and welcome to the Escape Pod, cast for kids with me, the Nev. Today we're going to talk about stores. Yes, stores. Where you get the good stuff, where you can find the hidden gems, and what to avoid wasting your currency on. And most important of all, what to never, ever, ever spend your currency on. All the stores are found in the shipment section, and there are multiple stores, each with their own currency that you need to earn from different areas of the game. You have the regular shipment store where you spend credits and crystals. You have weekly shipments, which is more or less the same as daily shipments, but it only refreshes once a week. The occasional bargain can be found though, so keep those eyes peeled. You have the Cantina Battle stores, where you spend your earnings from Cantina battles. Very important point here, be sure to spend your currency on the correct characters here and in the right order to maximize your roster. If you follow the pillar system, you'll be starting with Chopper, then moving through the other pillars. Do not, however, waste your currency on the ability materials though, and avoid the Jedi Knight Guardian and Mob Enforcer like the Plague, as these are useless characters. You have the guild store where you spend your guild earnings from daily tickets and events and raid rewards. Again, the pillar system will give you a sensible order to purchase characters from this store, but it's important to save some currency for important pieces of gear. Big tip for you in this store though, if you see Jyn Erso or Logray and have the spare currency, buy these character shards, as they only appear in this store and they are important characters you'll need later in the game. You have the Squad Arena store where you spend your earned currency from Squad Arena. Again, follow the pillar system for the order of purchase and don't waste your currency on the credits. There's always a credit heist around the corner, so don't give in to temptation. Characters to avoid here are Ugnaught, Coruscant Underworld Police, and Eve Koth. You have Galactic War Store, another store where it's best to follow the pillar system for the order of purchase. If you have plenty of currency, then by all means, buy some extra ship shards if you need them, but only on ships you're working on, not on ships you'll never use. You have the mod store, but I wouldn't bother, as farming mods from mod challenges is better value and less likely to cause depression. The last thing you want to do is waste 3 million credits on a mod with a secondary speed stat only to watch the defense stat roll 3 times. You have the Fleet Arena store. This is a tricky one and requires you to think for yourself. Personally, I farmed enough ships for 2 squads and then I used the currency to farm for Zetas. This is after all the only store where you can buy Zetas, but they ain't cheap. Useful tip here though, if you see Grievous, buy his shards, as it's one of the only 2 locations where he can be farmed, and he is now a very powerful character. Do not waste currency on Omegas. You get one every day for completing your dailies, for goodness sake. You have the Guild Event store. This again is a judgment call you need to make, as there's lots of things to buy, including gear and character shards. Hermit Yoda and Wampa should still be a priority though. You have the brand new Championship store, where you spend your earnings from GAC. Apart from the Gear 12 finishing pieces, you can get most of the gear from here in other stores, with one exception: Cryotech Salvage. I'm hoarding these bad boys because, trust me, they are going to be needed a lot in the future, and it won't hurt to have a nest egg of these gear pieces because the crystal price on these puppies is ridiculous, and one of the reasons why EA is sometimes referred to as the mother of all evils, or money-grabbing whores, or Scrooge McDuck on cocaine. Needless to say, it's the cheapest place to get them, so use your GAC currency wisely. The last store on the list is the Shard store, and this store always has something good. If you have spare currency in other stores, be sure to convert it to this currency, as it's a good place to pick up stun guns. Everybody needs stun guns, and they are cheap here. Hell will freeze over before EA brings the price down on these babies, so get them from this store at every opportunity. That's all for today, kids. Thanks for joining me for Storytime with the Nev on the Escape Pod, Cast for Kids.
Like what you hear on the Escape Pod cast? Want to support Scotty and Paul? Then sign up to be a Patreon. For as low as $2 a month, you can help them launch Escape Pods for months to come. Visit patreon.com/theescapepod to sign up. Support us today.
Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and you are listening to the Escape Pod cast.
Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming transmission.
And welcome back to the Escape Pod cast. I'm Paul Anthony, and yes, you will not hear Scotty on this one. Scotty was sick on recording day. He should be back by live day. We will see. But joining us this week for our special guest, you may have heard his ads on our station. It's Biscuit Weazel from Biscuit Weazel. How you doing, Biscuit?
I'm doing all right, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem, buddy. So, you came up with this. You're part of the Coruscant, Project Coruscant and HSTR project. And do you want to tell the listeners about what that is before we dive into what you're doing?
Sure. So the Planet Coruscant, it's formerly known as the HSTR server. So the alliance that we're in, the United Without Limits, they're the co-founders. Helenix and Caden founded the HSTR server when the Heroic Sith Raid dropped last year, and they have helped so many guilds complete the Heroic Sith Raid. And probably in the last month or two, I've been doing a lot of help with them on the Heroic Sith, helping educate and mentor some of the guilds looking to complete it for the first time. And so that was kind of what when I kind of ended up doing what we're getting ready to talk about. When I approached Caden about it, I was like, hey, I want to try this on your server because there's so much there that can be beneficial for me and for also a lot of the people that there's already so many people on that server. But it's not just the Heroic Sith Raid now. Now there's a whole section for the Geonosian territory battle. When we did it, last week or week and a half, we had, hundreds of people chiming in. Hey, we tried this squad in this mission, and I got 3 out of 4. And they were sending screenshots back and forth. And as we were compiling all this information, Caden was taking the successes, the success stories, and right. He was capturing them in another channel for people to be able to where they can't post, but they could see, okay, this squad worked really well in this combat mission. This squad works really well. This squad doesn't work well. Skip this squad, that kind of thing. So it's kind of morphed into much more than just a Heroic Sith Raid server.
Gotcha. So that's really cool. That it's kind of your one-stop shop for for information for pretty much everything in this game. I'm looking. I'm going to pull it up here in just a second. You guys have more than just the Geonosian territory battle. You also have tank. You also have Rancor. I mean, you guys have covered the gambit of everything. It's really cool.
Yeah. We started doing we started talking about doing like a faction section where you have experts that say if you have a lot of resistance guys that are really up on the resistance squads and the mods and the compositions for different things, you could post in there for help. If I really like Night Sisters. I certainly don't consider myself the subject matter expert with them, but I really like them. I'm really up to speed on them. So we've considered doing a section like that for specific factions. That necessarily hasn't come to fruition yet, but yeah, we've done a lot of. I've done some heroic tank stuff on there, so it's just a really neat place. I think one of the biggest things that I like about the server is seeing guilds that come in. Hey, we're fixing to do it for our first time. What is it that we need to do for our first time? Or, I'm looking to do this squad. What's the best composition? And it's being able to take, what I have, the experience that I've gained, and be like, hey, kind of giving back to the community. Hey, these are your good squads. Here's how you should mod them. This is the damage you can expect to get with this particular composition. And I was helping chatting with a guy a couple of days ago, and he was trying to get that Jedi Knight Anakin Night Sister team to work in Phase 3, and he was just really infuriated. He was like, I just can't get it. I was like, all right, let's take a look at your mods. What's your potency at, that kind of thing. And he sent me he tagged me today, and he was like, I did it. It's like 38 million damage he did. So,
I remember using the cheese team, when I still hadn't had Treya unlocked. We got the green light that if you want to cheese and you don't have Treya, you could cheese. And so you're damn right I did cheese with Finn back in the day. And I loved that team. I loved seeing, to me, one of the hardest phases just go down in flames.
Oh, yes.
There's people that love running Deathstorm in that and things like that. Sure, that's you have invested and you're ready to go, but it's certainly a fun team to do for now. It's not as intended. That's absolutely true. I don't condone it if you're just trying to beat out your guildmates. But if you don't have Treya and your guild leader is okay with it, I'm fine with people doing that personally.
Yeah, and that's kind of the stance that I've taken as well. Because there's a channel in there for Phase 3, and it's everybody throwing up pictures. And so one of the things that they have is like Damage Hall of Fame. So if you can score, originally it was 40 million or more. If you could score 40 million or more, then you got your name posted in the Hall of Fame. Well, now we've backed it down to 30 million. And I've actually I'm in that 30 million Hall of Fame club now. Not with the cheese team. I did mine. Nice. I did mine with JTR, Jedi Knight Revan, and then Deathstorm.
Very cool.
So a lot of the guys are coming in. I'm trying to do this with the Jedi Knight Anakin team, and I'm like, okay. Well, first off, is your guild able to complete Phase 3? Is this something that you guys are? Do you have it on farm, or is this your first time doing it? And so because it's the first couple times, it's only about just completing the raid, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. It's all about communication, and it's completely about just finishing the raid. Doesn't matter how ugly it is, how long it takes, it's just about finishing the raid. And so some of these guys are like, well, I can't I'm trying to do this, and I can't get this amount of damage. And this is the only one I want to try to do. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But what happens in a month when that team is nerfed? And so you're the only person that can do significant damage in phase 3.
Yep.
And then 2 months from now, when that team gets taken away, now
What's going to happen to your guild?
Exactly.
Yeah,
now your guild can't complete the raid. So I was like, what I usually tell people is if you have it on farm and your guild leaders are okay with it, then, work on it and try to get it. But if not, here are the teams that I recommend personally to do damage in all the phases, because that's really what that raid is about.
Right. Now you mentioned you like giving advice. And so this is a perfect segue into something that you're doing now. How many Patreons are we up to as of the taping?
I have 2 right now.
Okay. And so that's 2 of 10. Do you explain what you're doing, and then give us the little special that you're doing?
Sure. So I guess about a week ago, I started a Patreon account. It kind of morphed. So previously, I was one of the guild leaders and one of the trainers for our primal training guilds that we have in the Alliance. And so I actually started my YouTube channel specifically for those guys, because I was creating videos for the training guilds so they could see, okay, in this, let's say, phase 4 of light side territory battles, here's some good squads to use. Showing them some counters in Grand Arena. So if I had a Palpatine team, I might take my CLS squad in there, or, I might take, I was trying to show them counters to teams that they're going to face. And so that was actually how I started my YouTube channel. And then
real quick, what's this primal training?
So primal training it's 3 guilds. Technically it's 4. We have 3 main guilds. Basically we take Primal Ascension is the beginning guild. It's for brand new accounts, all the way up to roughly 500,000 GP. Then we have Primal Battalion, which is 500,000 GP up to somewhere between 1 million and 1.5 million GP. And then we have Primal Coalition, that's anywhere from 1 million up to 2.5 million GP. And basically what we do is we run you through these guilds. We show you how to build your roster the right way. We help you build a balanced roster so that you are effective in all game modes. We don't let people we don't encourage people to chase legendaries. We try to stick to our farming plan that we follow, so that when at 1.5 million GP or even 2 million GP from some of these guys, some of these Padawans, we call them primal Padawans. Some of these guys are, many of them have Jedi Knight Revan by that time. They have their JTR. And so once we get them to Primal Coalition, that's where they're really starting to really build out their territory war rosters. They've already kind of started some of that in Primal Battalion, which was the guild that I was the GL for up until about a week ago. And I just had too much going, so I ended up having to step down. But what we did there was, my whole goal there was to teach you the game modes. Here's what a territory battle is. Here's what a territory war is. Here's a good strategy for a young guild that we had. And up until when I left a week ago, we'd only had two losses in territory wars. Some of these Padawans were some of the most motivated players I'd ever seen. One particular territory war, I left work and I wasn't able to log in on my second account until like 3 hours later. And when I opened up the account. They had already cleared the board.
Nice.
I was like,
props to them.
I was blown away. So basically, we bring you in, we show you, hey, here's the game, here's the different modes, and we help you build your roster in a balanced, the correct balanced manner. And then as you get into the Primal Coalition, as you're getting ready to get promoted into a family guild, then we really start honing in on those heroic Sith teams. I start working on those territory battle teams, really starting to focus on those and build those squads out. Now that Geonosian territory battles have come around, they're still that's still pretty new, so we haven't even really discussed those. But so we're still focused on the light side, the Hoth territory battles, and we're trying to get a lot of our Padawans to that mindset, and a lot of them, especially in Primal Coalition, a lot of them we've promoted a couple, I think 3 into some of our alliance guilds, and have received some very high marks for how well developed their rosters are.
Very cool. Very cool. Now back to what your Patreon is.
Yeah. So that was kind of what I started doing the YouTube for all of them. And so after, about a month or two, of really doing videos fairly consistent, at least what I would consider consistent, I started looking into Patreon. I was like, do I want to do it? Is it going to be worth the time? I did a lot of research, you and I talked about it a good bit, and I finally I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And if nobody joins, then nobody joins. It's not like I've put out any money for it. It was a free account set up. My YouTube channel was free to set up, so it's not like I spent $100 and I'm not getting anything back. I was like, oh well. Let's give it a shot. And then within just a couple of days, I had actually one of the Padawans. He messaged me and he was like, "Hey, I just want you to know, I'm signing up for the whole thing, for the whole shebang." And I was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Dang, okay." So as of right now, I have 2 Patreons. So it's still kind of new to me, so I'm still trying to figure out. Finally got all the Patreon set up on the planet Coruscant. So now if you do happen to join into my Patreon account, when you click join, there will be a button for connect to Discord. You click that button and it's going to send you an instant invite to Planet Coruscant. It's going to give you the right permissions for the server, and you'll have access to the couple of channels that I have there right now. And then as the I don't want to say fan base, but as the support grows, we can add more channels. But one of the reasons I decided to do it on that server was there's so much information already there that the people who decide to join, they get a whole lot of bang for their buck. It's not just it's not just Biscuit's opinion. It's not just, oh well, Biscuit said that because he's perfect. I'm not. But there's a whole server of people that you get to interact with. It's not just me, and at least right now I have two Patreons. So it would be kind of, if I created a server from scratch, there'd be 3 people there. So it'd be kind of a lonely place for the first little bit.
But it's gaining strength. I mean that this is 2 in just a week.
Yeah.
I started ours with 1. To be honest with you, it was 1 guy. And it's grown to what it is now, and I'm very thankful for our Patreons that support the show here. And this is the first. This is actually the halfway mark, in a way. 5 months that Scotty and I have been doing this, so of course we're going to be thanking the Patreons at the end of this show that we currently have. But the thing I want to talk about is your tiers and how you do this. So for your minimum $5, you have a minimum of 5 on here. You mentioned the Patreon only Discord. Now, one of the things that you do, you don't go and remod an entire account. You're not Mikayas.
No.
And you don't even do the modding yourself. You say, hey, take this from this, this from this, this from this. Your $5 a month one is for just one squad. You want your arena squad, with the best mods. You're going to help them out with that.
Exactly. Yes.
And and then from there you have a roster review that you'll give them every other month if you join the $10 a month. And it goes up from there. 15. I'm reading off your site right now. 15, you get recommendation for 3 squads. So you're like your big offensive grand arena.
Right.
Jedi
exactly.
Master at your 20 is where you go for 5 squads. So your 3 offense and your 2 defense, your mains, if you will.
Yep.
But this is, this $30 one, this is your big one. You get a personalized GA strategy and mod recommendations for the entire Grand Arena team. You gotta, if you're in the 4 million and you need some help because you have to set 8 defensive squads.
Yeah.
That's right. There is where you want to be.
Yeah.
But you have a special going on.
I do.
That you mentioned in the commercial.
Yep.
But since this is the long form interview, explain your special and how long this is running and all that.
All right. So right now, if you join at least the $10 tier, the Jedi Knight tier, which is you'll get the one recommendation for the one squad, plus then you get the roster reviews every other month. And then, of course, access to our patron-only part of the Discord on Planet Coruscant. If you join at least at that $10 mark for the first month that you join, I'm going to give you a free upgrade to the Grandmaster. So you're going to get the whole shebang for $10.
So, I mean, Grand Arena's already started right now.
Yep, it just opened tonight, and I was sending out messages to my guild saying, hey, guys, don't forget to join, set your mods, make sure you're good to go for this new Grand Arena.
So, since this is a 5-week Grand Arena, of course, this is being recorded on Tuesday. It's going to play on Friday, so people have already gotten a few licks in right now. That they're as they're listening to this. Yep. If somebody joins today and they want to get that full $30 package for doing the $10 a month, are you willing to wait until the next one comes up for them to go over everything, or at least get it ready right before the next one starts up? Are you willing to do that, or do they have to go with everything right now?
No. That would be fine. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to penalize somebody that, they join halfway through and it's like, oh, well, Grand Arena's over. So my first month, I don't get to use my Grand Arena, those benefits that you signed up for. I don't get to use them because, well, there's no Grand Arena going on. So yeah, absolutely. If somebody does decide to join and say, hey, I like what you're doing. I like where you're at. I want to try to help you. I'm definitely flexible to say, hey, there's not a whole lot going on right now. Let's wait until, the next Grand Arena. And that way we can do your, I can help you with your strategy. I'll help you with your mod recommendations. And of course, the roster reviews are every other month. So, those are always going to be applicable. And it, initially I considered doing roster reviews every month, but that can get, that's really time intensive. But really in today's game, especially since they went from the 8 nodes to the 5 nodes, it's going to take you a good 2 months, unless you're paying or you have, tons of crystals. It's going to take you, anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks to build a squad. So that was why I ended up going with the every other month.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, people want to support me and they want to help me out, then I'll be flexible.
Excellent. Now, where can people go to become a Patreon? You know, I know they hear it in the commercials, but this is the part where we can slow it down instead of having to be real quick. So, how do I become a Patreon of Biscuit Weazel?
I have. You can go to patreon.com/Biscuit Weazel, and that's Weazel with a Z. I did that on purpose. So it's Biscuit Weazel with a Z. Patreon.com/Biscuit Weazel is my Patreon site. If you can't remember that, you can go to. I created a Twitter account, so it's twitter.com/Biscuit Weazel, no spaces. And then I am I'm on the Facebook Guild pages as well, but under there is my real name. But I do a lot of posting with my YouTube channel there, and then of course my YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/Biscuit Weazel. There's a link for my Patreon account there. So I have several of the social media sites, so any one of those will get you there. But if you want to go direct to the site, patreon.com/Biscuit Weazel, and that's Weazel with a Z.
Excellent. So what's next? What's the next videos that you're looking to put up here?
Well, right now I am in the middle of a heroic Sith series. Basically, it's kind of in line with what we were talking about earlier. It's kind of with those guilds who are, you're getting ready to you're trying to get your guild ready for that heroic Sith raid, or you're already in the middle of the raid, and you're looking for, all right, just something isn't working. So I'm doing some videos. I've already posted 2. The first one I posted was phase 1 with JTR. I talk about the 3 main compositions, JTR with 3PO and Finn, with just Finn and Resistance Trooper. And then I talk about Scavenger Ray, because not everybody has Finn at Gear 12 or C3PO. So I talk about the 3 comps, how you want to mod them, the strategy behind the JTR phase. So that was my first video. And then the video I just posted a couple of days ago is on phase 3 with Night Sisters, the Death Storm. I had a really good run that night, and I was able to capture it on video. So nice. I ended up, that was the night I did my personal best of just shy of 17 million, I think. Like 16.5, I think, with my Night Sisters.
Wow!
And I happened to catch it on film, and so I was able to. So what I did is I filmed talking about the mods and talking about the team, and so then I put it together and I threw it up on YouTube. So what I have, what I am working on now is I'm working on the Jedi Knight Revan for phase 2. Going to talk about the couple of teams in there where you can do, if you don't have Jedi Knight Revan, you can use a Bastille lead. And if you have a Jedi Knight Revan, you can either use General Kenobi or you can use Hermit Yoda if you have him. I prefer Hermit Yoda. You get more damage out of him. And then I'm also I also had one of my guildmates record some footage of Chex Mix. So I'm gonna do a Chex Mix one, because that's still, as much as I love Night Sisters, if your whole guild tries to use Night Sister in phase 3, and so they won't have any Night Sisters for phase 4. So that's what I'm working on now. So I hope you guys look forward to those upcoming videos. I think I have at least two more videos to come up. So I hope I have some good stuff for you guys in the next few days.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Well, Biscuit, I really appreciate you taking a moment. I know you got a party going on in the background, it sounds like.
I was watching the All-Star game.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. We look forward to having you back some more often, maybe on a Hollow Roundtable. And if you guys,
I'm game for whatever.
Paul. Definitely, guys, check them out. Patreon.com/Biscuit Weazel. Once again, that's Weazel with a Z. Coming up after this break, we're going to be going with, speaking of Patreons, we pulled our Patreons for the best teams for Grand Arena and Territory Wars, and you won't believe what's at number 1. I mean, yes, you will. It's pretty easy, but the rest of the list actually gets pretty debatable. Right here on the Escape Pod, Cast.
If you like what you hear on the Escape Pod cast, sign up to become a Patreon today. Support Scotty and Paul for as low as $2 a month, and you can help them launch Escape Pods for months to come. Visit patreon.com/the Escape Pod to sign up. Support us today.
Hey there, Escape Podawans. Everyone's favorite llama here to remind you that the Escape Pod cast is on social media. That's right, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. So give us a like, give us a follow, and stay up to date on all things in-game and in the Escape Pod. Our account links are down in the description or on our Discord server in the Show Links channel. See you on the net.
Mikayas Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Mikayas will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Mikayas has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Mikayas today on Discord at all lowercase Mikayas number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at mikayasmods@gmail.com. Mikayas Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod cast.
Hey everyone, it is the heartthrob of the Outer Rim, your boy Urs, and you are listening to the Escape Pod cast with Paul Anthony and Scotty McLaren. Boys, I think I speak for all of us when I say you are hot, you are red hot.
The Escape Pod cast. Top 10.
And welcome back to the Escape Pod cast. And as you heard in the opening, we are on our top 10, and we pulled all of our Patreons. We wanted to, we'd love to involve our Patreons. So we pulled them all and we said, give us your top 10 Grand Arena and Territory War teams. And, the honorable mention that came through, I'll give the honorable mentions here. We got First Order, we have Ewoks, we have Palpatine with Thrawn and Vader, and then we have the Geos with Brood Alpha leading the squad. Now, there's a lot of debate of where everybody's going to be at on this, and this is just ours. This is our opinion. You guys are coming to us to have debate. So, if you disagree, give us your own top 10. We'd love to hear from you in the comments on YouTube or come into our Discord and debate with us. We love friendly debate. So, number 10 was Jedi Training Ray. You're looking at the Resistance team. They got they amassed 15 points on our list, beating out the Geos by 1 point. So, it was pretty close. Now your counters to Jedi Training Ray, of course, are one of the biggest ones was Darth Treya. So, but she did a lot of countering. She can, under the proper circumstances, soft counter JKR. She's great against Imperial Troopers. She's great against Bounty Hunters. She's great against Bastila. But coming in at number 9, we combined the timeout teams. The Karth Zalbar Mission Canderous T3. And then you also have the Kira lead with Nest L3. Stormtrooper Han, Newt Gunray, Vandor Chewie. We combined all of those timeout teams. They came in 3 points ahead of Jedi Training Ray. Coming up next at number 8, we do have the Bounty Hunters. The Bounty Hunters, I personally love the Jango lead. If you're got a Zeta to spare, throw it on there. Bosk lead is the standard. But if you have a Jango lead, Imperial Troopers can come along and and knock you out if Stark is faster. But if you have bounty hunters with Enfys Nest sitting back there, that is pretty much a way to stop that. Coming in at number 7, by the way, bounty hunters had 31 points. Coming in with 46 points was the Traya lead. Traya, Nihilus, Scion, and then you have Palpatine, Bastila, Dooku, Thrawn, Sith Trooper, Vader. The Traya team is a hard counter to those timeout teams. The Traya team is a hard counter to Bastila, to, as I mentioned, JTR. She is a soft counter, and you need to know this in this situation. There is a soft counter to Padme because of all the assists. And also, I really, really am sad to say that that is a hard counter to the Geos if you have it set up right. All the additional attacks just shred those Geos. Coming in at number 6 is Commander Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Chewbacca, R2, C-3PO, Baze, Chirrut, Wedge. All, you got your Rebel squad. This is one of the ones that we had a lot of debate on. These next 3, include CLS and the next 2 that are coming up, they all came within 3 points of each other. So it wasn't really easy for us to say, yeah, that's number 6, that's number 5, or whatnot. It all came down to where things ended up. So at number 6 we had Commander Luke Skywalker, Han Solo. At number 5 we had the Night Sisters. Number 4 was Padme, including the Shock T in Clone Wars. Number 3 was only 5 points off of number 6. The General Grievous team. General Grievous B1, B2, Magna Guard, Droideka. I mean, I'm really thinking that Wat Tambor is going to push them up. I'll get to that in a second. Right now, to our people that are in the listener lounge, if you guys have questions to rapid fire at me at a makeshift bridge section, now's your time to put those in the thing. Zed, collect them, throw them in the bullpen. That's where I will refer to for questions. And of course, our number 2 and our number 1 were the Revans. Now, which Revan came in first? The answer will not surprise you. Number 2 was Jedi Knight Revan, and number 1 was Darth Revan. But that there was a separation of all the point system that we put together. There was only a separation of 8 points, and somebody didn't fully fill out a ballot, and that's why Darth Revan got a few extra points. So it honestly, we know that the Revans are there. Malak makes Darth Revan a little bit better. But we're seeing so many things, as I alluded to in the open, that who's beating Malak this week? We're going to continue to see these new counters that come out. We're going to continue to see all these sorts of different team compositions, but they're going to have a weakness. And you know what that says to me? That really, really says that there is an emerging paper, rock, scissors meta. And that's exactly what I called for in episode 1 of this show. And it's what I call for today. So, for those that want that meta, by all means, I think our day is coming. Now, we're going to go ahead and flip it over to a bridge. Do I have any questions sitting in there right now? Let's see. Do I have any questions, Zed? I don't see any questions there. I do have a question earlier that came from... oh my gosh, I'm blanking on who it came from, and I'm very sorry. I think that it was Zaz. Zaz asked, how broken do you think Wat Tambor is going to be? Looking at his kit, I mean, this giving certain abilities to characters, I don't know if he's going to be broken, but even if he isn't broken, he is going to be damn useful. I'm going to put it that way, because the ability to put to put what you want on a certain character as far as an additional ability, you can create your own support out of an attacker. If I understand how this kit works, you can create your own tank. Well, maybe not tank, but you can create your own. You can create an attacker out of a support. Honestly, give them the big gun. Now, I am going to say this. Inside the listener lounge, Scotty did come in here. He woke up. He's doing okay, and he is going to get better. But I do have to announce that as of let me go back to the timestamp here. As of 7:53 Central Time, Scotty McLaren is the owner of a Zetaed veteran smuggler Han, due to the fact that the English cricket team is the best cricket team in the world. I'm saying it for you, Scotty. I'm taking the lump. So, with that being said, that was a bet that Scotty had with Nev. Since Scotty can't do it, I will do it for you, Nev. We are going to be doing this. There's a lot of bets coming up with having to gear 13 certain characters or Zeta certain characters, and I'm looking forward to when Scotty can get back on here. With that being said, any questions? Any other ones? Let me go through. Giving any character 50% turn meter each enemy turn. Give that to Wappa or Malik or Nihilus. Yeah, Zaz. I mean, seriously, the ability to speed up a character is very, very crazy. And I think that it's 15% turn meter. So note this, Zaz. He responded to me in the listener lounge just so I can make sure that I'm communicating radio instead of just talking to a computer. With that 15%, that's 4 other enemy turns. So that is only 60%. They are going to have to make it up. But that is a huge boost. So, with that being said, I don't think that I have any other business right now at this time, guys. It has been an absolute pleasure to do this show. I thank Scotty for the faith to be able to do it solo and his encouragement to do so. And Scotty, we'll see you again next week. But before I go, in the open, you did hear Mrs. Anthony give that her last chemo was this past Thursday. So just yesterday for me was her last chemo, and she got to ring that bell. Thank you guys for all your support. The GoFundMe is still open. We are over 90%. GoFundMe.com/Mrs. Anthony. With that being said, I know I say that a lot. I'm sorry, but the Escape Podcast would like to go ahead and recognize all of our Patreons. We have Tenpool, we have Adam, Danku, Sobi, Charlie, we have Dan, we have Daniel, we have David, we have Buzzsaw, Ghost, Heinze, John, two Johns, John K and John O. We have Caden, we have Kurt, we have Deadpool Kyle, we have Michael A, we have Newbie Gaming, we have Ollie, we have our very own Tupaka, Savage Diva, Uber, Zed, Dagger, and the one, the only. He is hot. He is red hot. He is Urzatron. Thank you very much, all of you, for all of your support. And even if you're not a Patreon, thank you for your support for this show. Spread the word, and if you want to consider becoming a Patreon, please do. With that being said, I think it's about time. So, Scotty, push the button. Wait. Hold on. Scotty? Scotty, where are you? Oh, wait, hold on. Here's the console. I wonder what this button does.
What's going on? Where the hell are we? Paris?
Thank you for pressing the self-destruct button.
Attention! This is Colonel Sanders in forward command. Abandon ship! Abandon ship! All personnel proceed to escape pods. Close down the circuits. Evacuate the city. Self-destruct mechanism has been activated. Abandon ship! Where is it? Where is it? It's gotta be here. Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works.
This ship will self-destruct in exactly 10 seconds. Counting down. 10, 9, 8, 6.
6! What happened to 7?
Just kidding. 3, 2, 1. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. The Escape Podcast was filmed in front of a live studio audience full of tweaked out murder bears.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.